And I love talking about tools, and one of my favorite things to do when I'm at the hardware store is just to sit back and go, what do I need? There's got to be something I need here to add to my toolkit. It's really important, guys, when you hit the trail to make sure you have a basic toolkit with you, because you never know if you're going to need it, and that's what we're going to talk about in this video today. Welcome to TrailRecon. I'm Brad, and today on this episode, guys, we are talking about tools. And when I say we, I mean my friend CPO over at the YouTube channel O3D Jeeps. We have been messaging back and forth on Instagram for a little while and talking about tools, and we thought, you know, it would be great to give you guys some recommendations for some basic tools that you should bring with you when you're going off-road. So that's what we're gonna talk about today, guys. Just some tool basics, things that you should have for you when you hit the trail. I'm gonna turn it over to CPO.
Hey, thanks, Brad. Yeah, so I'm right in the middle, actually, of reconfiguring my whole cargo area, and that includes my tool storage and recovery gear storage. So it's been raining. I put a tent over the Jeep just so that I could have some opportunity to do this. Figured I would knock out a quick video and show you guys a little bit about what I carry and why from a tool perspective. So I've got a big trip coming up to Moab, so I'm starting to think through this right now. Even though it's a couple of months away, that time goes really fast. So let me just show you sort of what I'm doing, and then I'll talk to you a little bit about why I have certain tools and what tools I think everybody should carry. And then on top of that, there's a fine line between recovery stuff and like mechanic tools. I'm going to try not to go too far into the recovery land, but I will show you sort of where I store that stuff as well. So what I'm working on doing right now is configuring the back end. I have this Diabolical Ink Slipstream, which protects all this stuff from theft. It's a security enclosure. So I'm reconfiguring things to fit inside here. And as I do that, I'm just working through how I store this gear. So I have a combination of a few things. I have some Atlas 46 bags here. I have my old Dewalt bag, got my high lift in here. Is that a tool or a recovery device? Yes, it's both. I do carry a high lift. I know that's a controversial subject. A lot of people say you're just fine with a good scissor jack and some sort of a, you know, either an off-road riser or even wooden blocks. I'm a huge fan of the high lift, but I do see both sides of that, and I would have no problem carrying a bottle jack so long as you had a sort of a cradle for an axle tube. I do not like the little like button tops on the bottle jacks. I just don't like them. So I'd rather use a high lift than one of those. But anyway, so a jack, a good jack that's capable of lifting your vehicle, but you also need to make sure you have a place on your vehicle to use the jack. So right, if you have a high lift jack, you need high lift jack points like steel bumpers or rock sliders or something like that. You're not going to be able to use a high lift jack on your stock Jeep with plastic bumpers. You're just not going to have a place to connect. So your scissors jack or a bottle jack is a much better choice for that situation. So just make sure you have some way to lift a tire so you can simply change a flat tire. I mean, so when I think about tools and tools needed when off-roading, there's sort of the pendulum swings, you know, in two different directions. And at each extreme you have the I'm completely unprepared, and then the other extreme you have I'm so over-prepared that I'll never use half the stuff I take with me. I try and find a way to be in the middle, but depending on the day or where I'm going or who I'm going with, I'm on either end of that center line. So if I'm going out with a large group of people and I know that they're experienced and they all have a lot of great tools, you know, I may under-prepare probably because we can all support each other. If I'm going out by myself, like when I take the Moab trip, the same way I did the Colorado trip, it's basically me self-sufficient. I was out with a buddy who had a motorcycle, but he didn't have any gear. So I sort of over-prepare for that because I'm alone and I need to make sure I can fend for myself. So, but most of the time I try and stay right about in the middle. A shovel, is it recovery? Is it a tool? I don't know. I carry a shovel. I recommend you carry a shovel. I actually carry two shovels. This is a Crazy Beaver tool shovel, pretty awesome. If you haven't seen that, I did a video on that. But yeah, I carry a shovel. So my Dewalt bag has, as you can imagine, Dewalt tools in it. This used to be my tool bag. I carried everything in here until recently. Actually, I just started switching to these Atlas 46 bags, and I'll show you sort of why they work the way they do. But that freed up my Dewalt bag to be able to carry Dewalt tools. I'm a huge fan of having battery-powered tools. Makes the job so much easier. I use a Dewalt. I've got a 1/2 inch impact in here. I've got a 3/8 inch just driver for small fasteners, and then I have a drill. And I use all of those. The one thing I would say is make sure you keep your batteries charged. I keep several of them, and when I put them in the bag, they're charged. I don't put them back in the bag unless they're charged. That way I know that they're always good to go. I also carry a charger, because if I'm out and I happen to need to use these tools, let's say I'm on a multi-day trip, it'd be nice to be able to recharge those batteries whenever I have a chance for some electricity. So that is the Dewalt stuff. So I do keep a few different types of tool sets. I like these sort of all-inclusive sets that have a case with it. The reason I like these is because, number one, you can store it easily. Number two, it's easy to look in there and figure out what's missing. I have a really bad habit of not putting tools back, and I use them and I leave them out, and then pretty soon I've lost them all. So at least I can look in here and go, do I have everything? I do. And then that's helpful for me. So this is a 42-piece set. I got it at Sears with some Black Friday special deal. What I use this for primarily are Torx and Allens, Allen heads. So mostly Torx. I get a lot of Torx use out of this because, as you know, on these Jeeps, they use a lot of Torx. The 45, the 40, the 30, the 27, get tons of use. So that's primarily what this is for, but I like having it like this. Same thing with this Craftsman set. This is a socket set. It's kind of a unique style. I don't remember what they call this. They're these guys. It's a strange setup, and the cool thing about them is you don't have long or short, because the bolts will pass through the sockets, as well as the ratchet has the hole for the bolts to pass through. I like this as a general toolkit. I use it all the time. This is sort of my go-to. I need a ratchet and you know, a 1/2 inch or whatever. I go to this. I don't like it for heavy duty stuff because of the way it grabs the fastener. I just don't. It's not as secure. It's easier opportunity to strip. But yeah, this is sort of my go-to everyday ratchet set. I do have in here, I don't know if you can see it in here, there is a plywood, looks like it's about a 2 foot by 1 foot, 5/8 inch piece of plywood. I use that as a base for jacking. I use it as, I don't know, anything I need a platform for, mostly with the jack. I even have holes drilled in it that I can bolt the high lift jack to it if I need to. But yeah, I just like having that. Spreads the load. So back in here, I do carry a tire repair kit. I think I have never used this one I have used it. I don't think I've used it on my Jeep. I've used it to repair a tractor tire. But yeah, so I do carry a tire repair kit. I also carry a spare, but sometimes you end up with a hole in your spare. And so it's nice to be able to do that. This is a heavy-duty off-road base for my high lift jack. This basically locks it into whatever terrain I'm in. That's almost a safety device, if you ask me. But that's from Rapto Works. Again, sometimes I go over the top on the pendulum swing. And of course my high lift is laying in here, and it's pretty much secured right now by the weight of all this gear. So this is a Atlas 46 Canyons cargo bag. And it's got two sides to it. One side is full of recovery gear, extra air hose, ropes, shackles, jumper cables. I always carry jumper cables. Here's something important if you're going out. U-joints for drive lines and also axles, front axles. So yeah, it's nice to have a spare one of those, or 2 or 3. So anyway, I'm going to stay out of the recovery side here. This isn't really a recovery video. The other side has a bunch of larger tools. I have a collapsible lug wrench. So I've got hammers and mallets, C-clamps, torque wrenches, clamps. I keep 550 cord. Cordage is good for a variety of reasons. You never know when you're going to need that. And big pipe wrench. Get on some big fasteners, particularly if I need to work on jam nuts. I like these big pipe wrenches. You can shove the end of this inside the handle of your high lift jack, and gives you a lot of leverage. So, and then probably the thing I use the most, this breaker bar. But the 1/2-inch breaker bar pretty much comes in handy. I keep a flashlight, headlamp type thing. That way if I'm out at night, I can see what I'm doing. Turn that off. I also keep gloves in here. So yeah, that's sort of the bigger tool side of this. All right, and finally, this roll here, this is another Atlas 46. This is the Yorktown Mechanics tool bag. This is the King of the Hammers version. It's like 6 inches longer than the standard version. This is a really cool bag for holding pretty much all of your mechanics tools in general. So this has 5 larger compartments that you can put tools in. Again, I have a hard time personally with keeping track of tools, so having bigger buckets to put things in is good to me, unless I'm going for this sort of molded, can see specifically what's missing sort of a look. So for this, I've got a variety of screwdrivers. I keep all kinds of sizes. I have a bunch of Allen wrenches in here. I do keep pry size screwdrivers. This one ends up being used a lot to pry. This one is a variety of wrenches and pliers. I do like keeping these Vise Grips because you can use them for a variety of reasons, either breaking open fasteners that are stripped or clamping hoses shut, all kinds of stuff there. Have to have some sort of an adjustable wrench to get some big stuff going. And then of course, these guys, Crescent Wrenches. Yeah. This one has my ratchets, a variety of sizes, and all my adapters and extensions. I do like carrying adapters to go from 1/4 inch to 3/8 inch and 3/8 inch to 1/2 inch. And I also have some that go the other way from 1/2 inch down to 3/8 inch. So you just never know when those are going to come in handy. I also try and keep some universal joints there. This is a really interesting ratchet design. It's a 3/8 inch, has an expandable handle, and it also has a flexible head. So this one has come in handy in a variety of opportunities where I need to get to something that's really sort of in an odd spot. So, and when I need to use a bigger size socket for that, I can go in here and put the 1/2 inch adapter on it. This is sockets. You can see I'm missing one here, and I'm missing a couple here. I've got to find. They're probably in the garage right now. I've been working on a lot of things, so I try and keep a broad variety of sockets, but really what I do is when I'm working on my Jeep, if I end up needing a socket, I try and remember to put that in the Jeep tool bag. That way I know I need it. Oh, one thing here, this is a 35 millimeter. This is a big boy. This is for the axle nut on the front axle, so in case I ever have to do anything with the axles there, need to have that big socket. So that's important to have. Again, yeah, you can take this as extreme as you want. And then finally up here, I've got some more random stuff. Zip ties, hugely important. Pretty much you can put anything together with enough zip ties and tape, which I have in here, Gorilla Tape. Baling wire, same thing. It's just a thin, call it mechanics wire. You can use it to fix holes in tires. You can use it to secure things together. I have a razor knife, I have some punches, and I have some just random sort of wrenches. All right, now if we flip this whole thing over, we get to the wrench side of this. And you can see here I have both sides full of wrenches. And I like these ratcheting wrenches, but sometimes they aren't a good fit. They're either too thick or too loose of a mechanism. So I do try and keep a handful of traditional wrenches on hand for that. And then I like to have at least a couple sizes duplicated for when you need both ends of the fastener. So that's it. That really, I think, covers a majority of the tools. Oh wait, you got to see this. Check this out. How you put this whole thing back together. You just pick it up and it automatically rolls itself up. Pretty cool, huh? So I do have a few other random odds and ends tools. I carry rubber gloves, I carry tape, like I said, zip ties, fuel, spare fuel. I keep a Rotopax with fuel. And if you have locking lugs on your wheels or even just spline drive lugs, you're going to need to make sure you have the adapter for that. So I keep those separately in the Jeep. I've always got those with me. Yeah, I think that covers most of it. Fluids, again, I don't know where tools end and everything else starts, but I do keep a variety of fluids such as WD-40, liquid wrench, spare brake fluid, oil, ATF when I'm out traveling. So I think it's important to be able to have some of that stuff on hand. Yeah, what am I missing? Brad, did I get it all? I don't know, wait. Anyway, guys, appreciate your time. Thanks for watching this. Brad, back to you.
And I really appreciate CPO taking the time to do that and share with you all the tools that he takes with him. I really like his storage solution. That's something that I'm definitely going to be checking out. You know, it used to be when I would hit the trail, I would just grab a bunch of stuff from my toolbox and throw it in a bag and hit the trail. But I realized that I needed to have some dedicated tools that I keep in the Jeep, and I keep all this stuff in my Jeep all the time. And I still got some things that I need to add to it, but it's definitely important, guys, to have a basic dedicated toolkit for your off-roading needs. Now, I want to give a big thanks to CPO. If you have not been over to his YouTube channel, O3D Jeeps, I will leave a link in the description. Go check it out. He's got a lot of great Jeep content over there. He's just a great, genuine guy, guys. Go check out all his videos. It's good stuff over there. And look, if you're visiting TrailRecon for the first time, please hit that subscribe button. I'd love to have you as a member of the TrailRecon team. Thanks for watching.